Hi, everybody. I am here. I'm going to let her introduce herself. We're just going to have an intellectual sandbox session because this is my favorite thing in the world. And I got to tell you. So before I let you introduce yourself, Alexis, I love you have such thoughtful questions. You dive into this stuff the reason that when you said, "Hey, let's have this call," I was like, "Yeah, we should also do a recording," is because the questions that you bring to me make the work better. And I freaking love that. So I love how your brain works. I'm excited for this conversation, but go ahead and tell the world who you are.
Okay. I am excited too. I'm Alexis Mercer, and I am an educator and coach at Newaygo Public Schools. I've been here, this is my 23rd year actually, and I currently coach varsity cross country and middle school track. And then I assist with the varsity track, and I just recently got a new position here. I was teaching Spanish and I've taught English before too, but now I am the director of MTSS and assessment. So that's
What
my
does
new
that
role,
mean?
multi-tiered systems of support.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So basically, I am the director of making sure that all kids are served in every way. So not just academically, behaviorally,
Oh,
emotionally,
wow.
socially. So it's a K-12 director position, and it's a pretty big
That's a
position.
big job.
It is a big
How
job, but
many
it's
students are in your K through 12?
so we're at about just under 1,500 total.
Wow.
We have 430-ish in our high school.
Is this a position that exists at all public schools?
Not all. So I will say a lot of them, yes. Sometimes it's combined with another thing. But this year our RISA has partnered with us. So all the schools in Newaygo County now have an MTSS director. And so we get to work together with our RISA. And there are a lot of schools that do have it, but a lot like it might be paired with curriculum director or something to that effect. So not everybody has a just MTSS person.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, that's good. I'm glad that that position exists because I know that kids, I mean, often there's a lot of falling through the cracks, and I have to imagine that's kind of where the genesis of that. Am I?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Like looking at the whole child and making sure that that we're addressing all of their needs rather than, just well, state testing this or,
Oh
that,
God, thank you.
right?
Yes, please
Yeah.
don't get me started. I'll
So
say inappropriate things that we'll have to edit out when you talk to
don't
me about
do
testing in
it.
schools. It's not, I cannot. Like that. You've read Hidden Potential, right?
Yes. Hmm.
So you know why I'm bringing that book up then, right?
Absolutely, I do.
Yep.
Yes.
I mean,
Important conversation. Yeah.
whew, yeah. Okay. So we also, you are a volleyball player. Talk
I
about
was.
yeah.
Yeah,
Talk about that.
so I went and played at Hope College. I graduated in 99, so way back in the day. And I went and played at Hope College. And right now, Becky Schmidt is there. She
Love her.
actually played, so she graduated the year before I got there and then started coaching the year at Hope the year after I left there. So I was like the sandwich in between.
No way.
Yeah, yeah, kind of crazy, but love Becky and all the things that she's got going on down at Hope, but proud to be a part of that system and that program and such excellence down there. So
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, Becky is talk about I need to get her on one of these little convos.
yeah.
I have a great story that Becky and I both tell independently about each other. We were recruiting or at convention, I don't remember, in Minneapolis. This
Uh-huh.
is years ago. I was at Ferris, she was
Okay.
at Hope.
Yep.
And we there's a right by the convention center, there's a street. I can't think of the name. It might be Pearl Street. There's a
Okay.
Pearl Street in Colorado Springs, or I mean Boulder, and I feel that's Pearl. Anyway, but it's kind of shut. It's kind of like a boulevardy, and
Yeah.
they have a lot of outdoor seating. And
Okay.
Becky Schmidt and I were literally there, like we were having a discussion about passing. And
Okay.
we were like demonstrating for each other in the street, like on the sidewalk. We were doing passing stuff. I mean, we were like in this animated conversation, like just like talking about different fundamental skills stuff. It was so much fun. And I
Love
just recently, somebody else told me, like, hey, Becky was talking about the time that you guys were in. I was like, yeah, I think about that too all the time. Yeah.
it. in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
Sounds like Becky. Yeah, and it sounds like you.
Yeah.
So yeah, there we go.
We were just like both of us geeking out, and we were just taking the geek level to a higher and higher bar of geekiness together. It was, yeah, it was funny. I'll have to send this to her, make sure yeah, Becky, nothing but love and respect for you. Okay, so I want to do this. So you are a TLC Institute Coach Credentialing Program graduate.
Yep,
So you went through our initial um, we've never tried to do a cohort that's all online before the cohort that you were in. And I feel like it was okay. I still don't love that platform. We're trying to make it better and better and better because comparative to the one where we have an in-person at the beginning and the end, I just
sure.
think it's hard to get that connection. But
Yep.
that being said, can you talk about not in a commercially kind of way? I'm
Yeah.
genuinely curious, like, what did you get out of that? Like, what are some things that you remember? Like, what would you, as you reflect back, this was a year ago.
Yep.
What can you talk about what you got or what value you took from that?
Well, how long do you have? Because
That's that's
without being
kind.
commercial, that was hands down the best. Like, I don't even know what you want to call it. I used to call it my therapy class. I would tell
Really?
my husband and Mike Fosberg, my athletic director, I'd be like, time for therapy class. And I would get all excited and go to my sessions. But I cannot tell you even in a short amount of time how much I got out of it. And I think that for me, there were all of these ideas. So many of them were new ways of looking at things, but I felt like it brought together, like I made so many connections with my values and who I am as a coach and what I believe in. And then you three were the ones who put words to that. You gave me the common language to be able to say, yes, that's what I have been saying all along. So to be able to articulate some of those just huge culture pieces in a way where before maybe I would just kind of be stumbling through it and not know exactly like, oh, well, that's the reason why I do this. Um,
Hmm.
so it kind of just pulled together a lot of the things that I already believed in my heart, and I was able to then streamline it into a more cohesive, like, my mission, my purpose in coaching. So I think that, and there wasn't anything I felt like, oh, I wish I had more on that. Now granted, I always want more to like take it to the next level, but at the same time I just didn't feel like there was anything that was missed in the overall comprehensive
Wow.
coaching realm. So I'm incredibly grateful for you and for what you've done for me. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you first of all for explaining all that
Yeah.
and for the gratitude, but that is incredible to hear because honestly, like it's hard for us to know in that platform
Yeah.
that it was transferring the way that it did.
Yeah, and I know you
Huh.
say that. Obviously, I don't have anything to compare it to, right? I didn't do the in-person at all. Um, but what I know is that I still was able to make connections with the people in class. I got a lot out of our group Zooms. I loved listening to their experiences, and I loved the fact that you had like professional teams, you had college teams, you had high school, middle school teams. So there was such a wide variety, and it was okay for me that we didn't actually meet in person, just because I appreciated having that broad perspective. Whereas I know I wouldn't have been able to get together with those people who are in many other states. So it wasn't a deterrent for me at all to not be able to have that in-person piece, though I value the in-person connection. It wasn't where I was ever like, oh, it would be so much better if it was, that kind of thing.
Interesting. That's
Mhm.
really good to know. Like that's
Yeah.
truly valuable feedback just from my seat as we're getting ready to start another one in February.
Yeah.
Um the other thing that I picked up on what you just said is it's part of our we're kind of passionate about having mixed gender, mixed levels whenever we can, mixed sport in
Yes.
a learning experience. the value in that. We were talking just off camera before we started this about this thing that I always hear from coaches like, well, our sport's different. And I'm like, it's not. Humans are when it comes to team culture, it's just not. Like
Yep.
you have different intricacies, but like from a mental performance standpoint, there's differences, but team culture, teams are teams, right? Um, can you like just remember any moments where you heard like maybe a, big time major division 1 coach in any sport say something that you're like, oh my God, I dealt with that last week? Do you remember anything like that?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Like, I remember one specifically where, a Division 1 coach, and it was here in Michigan, but D1, and, someone that every time we got on Zoom, I would be like, like, just keep talking, right? Just had so much information. And then all of a sudden, and she was like, well, and I had this conflict between two of my athletes, and she went through the scenario, and it was a specific conflict. And I thought, wait a minute, that was very seriously my middle school track team. Like, I just had that situation. And I was like, okay, so we are all the same. And it was
Isn't that crazy?
not a running coach. It was, a different sport entirely that truly I don't feel like is at all like track and field. So yeah, it was on a Zoom, and I think my eyes got I was like, so yeah, making that connection between, it does not matter the sport, it does not matter the level. We are all in this together. We're all dealing with the same things.
That's so cool. That is
Mhm.
so validating for me to hear because I say it all the time. And I
Yep.
swear people think I'm like just saying it. And I'm
Mhm.
not like,
Oh,
it is uncanny how often I have a conversation and then separately have a conversation with somebody on the other coast of this
yep.
country. And it's the same exact issue. And I'm like, yeah, I was just talking to, I
Like
already,
that.
I already thought through this whole thing, like with this other
Yeah.
coach. You're not alone.
You're
You're
like, I
not
got
alone.
this one because I know.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
It's that is super. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Um, so talk about, so you've coached for how many years now total?
Oh, poof. Well, I started coaching volleyball back when I was a freshman in college. So
Same as me.
yes, so there we go. So that
So
would
you're
be
knocking on 30-ish years. We won't
yes, yes,
we
I
won't
am
get
almost
specific
30.
about your age. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
we're in the same window.
yes, same realm.
Um,
Yeah.
what do you think? Give me your biggest joy and give me your biggest challenge
Okay.
and give me if it's changed and how.
Mm. Oof, oof. Okay. So yes, it has changed. I would say my biggest joy right now. I've been coaching running for about 15 years. So whereas before volleyball, soccer, and so now the last 15 have been running. So of course that piece has changed a lot, but right now my biggest joy, hands down, the relationships that I have been able to build, and the depth of those relationships with my runners is something that it fills my life up to the brim. Um I have not in the last few years, like, we've talked about the last time you were at Newego, you were like, the kids don't want the season to end. Not only do the kids not want the season to end, but I don't want the season to end. I mean, my husband's always like, oh, thank goodness your season's over. Like, we get you back, right? And yes,
And you're
like,
like, dang
I'm
it.
like, yeah, yes, okay, you do get me back. You do. But oh my gosh, I miss my kids, right? Like, I love those the everyday. Like, I do. I see them more than I see my own children. And I don't want it to end. So, whereas I think at the beginning of my career, I enjoyed thoroughly, but I was ready for the season to be done.
Interesting. When did that shift happen?
Um, I would say, it's been in the last 10 years. And I don't know, I'll be honest, I don't know if it's like my own children like having my own kids has given me a different perspective. My youngest is 13. Um, and so I truly don't know. I haven't really dug into that piece myself to figure that out. But I think that over the course of the last 10 years, I've just been able to, I more and more I stop and I soak it in. And I just say,
Mm.
like, how lucky am I? Right? Like I get to do this job. Um, I get to learn from my athletes. I learn along with them, and I feel like every single time I have a new team. Um, I get more and more out of it myself, and
That's
and then
cool.
as a result, I'm able to pour into them even more. And so I've just been able to take a step back and say, like, I'm so crazy lucky that this is my job. And so that perspective and that appreciation for what I get to do, over the last 10 years has really sunk in. Yeah.
That's that's pretty cool. You're describing winning deep to me. Like that, like I don't somebody asked me recently, like, what is your definition? And I've sort of added to the definition. I think it's, getting to the season like you kind of already referred to and just wanting one more day. But I also think it's playing the best at like playing your best, running your best, playing your best ball, whatever sport it is, playing your very best at the end of the season. I think that's got to be both parts.
Yeah.
Um, but also like, and then I had a former player in the room as I was speaking on Saturday, and as I thought of her, like she played at Ferris, and
Yeah.
there is a group of players that was there while I was there. This is 14 years ago. I don't know what you. She just the only reason I know this is because she said Tree the last time she had DM'd me. She didn't think she still had my cell number, but she did. She ended
Yeah.
up still having it when we looked.
Uh,
But so she DM'd me on Facebook, and
yeah.
I notoriously don't have notifications turned on anything on my phone.
Yes.
And if you're trying to get hold of, like, people know this, like I'm terrible. I'm like, you need to email me, or I just so stuck in my ways because I hate the red bubble. I don't, I'm more anxious than people realize. Anyway, so she reached out to me in a DM on Facebook, and she said the last message that she had, I don't know why she used like this way to get a hold of me when she was my athlete, but
Yeah.
she was DMing me about study hall in 2011. And
Oh my
literally, she said the message said, Tree, I finished what I needed to do for study hall. And then she messaged me, hey, you're coming to talk to the club I coach at. I'm so excited to see you. And I was dying. I was like, what? But anyway, I digress. Her
God.
and the group of players from those years are still really close. They call themselves the crew, and they
Oh,
get together all the time. And to me,
yep.
like that's another definition of winning deep. I think
Yeah.
it's beautiful. And I remember when I got done playing at Saginaw Valley, I was a catcher and I
Mhm.
didn't have a backup. I sort of did, but she really was a good hitter defensively, though. It was not comparable,
Yeah.
and so I really didn't have a backup almost my whole career. I
Wow.
came in with like three catchers, and then I Tanya Harding them out. No, I didn't. I'm just kidding. Um, but um, but they brought in three catchers. Was it three? Yes, three catchers to vie for who's going to be the next catcher, and
Yeah.
I trained them for a whole
Oh,
year. And I
yeah.
remember the very first practice, taking them out to left field and saying, "Listen, I don't. You're all competing for this job, but if we do this well, you're all going to end up on the field, and you're all going to be lifelong friends." And that happened. One of them caught, one of them played shortstop, and one of them, hold on, she caught, and one of them played first base.
Oh my
And
gosh.
they ended up being, I mean, they're still friends.
That's
And
so cool.
that I didn't realize that, but I kind of connected it when Bree said that. Like she was talking about the crew, and I'm like, oh man, that's kind of one of my definitions too, is like, do we
Yeah.
build these lifelong relationships?
Right.
Love that.
And I would argue the lifelong relationship with the sport itself, right?
Also
Um,
true. Yeah.
for me, especially because, and I know, like, I know that certain, I can't go out and just play a pickup game of volleyball anytime I want, right? So that's a little bit different, but I can go out and run. And so watching the number of
It's
athletes
very good.
who for the rest of their lives, there, I mean, I have kids all the time that, and now that, they're not kids anymore, right? They're grown with their own
You're
families,
still kids in
and
your eyes. It's
I
fine.
know they'll always be my kids, but
Yeah.
messaging me and saying, "Hey coach, I ran a half marathon for the first time."
So
And they're
cool.
talking to me about it, or, "Hey, do you have advice about running my first marathon?" That kind of thing. So that relationship with the sport and how they can connect what they learned and how it helped them grow, like that's pretty awesome to see too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's yeah, that's good. I like it. Okay, biggest challenge.
Okay. Biggest challenge. Um, so right now, okay, I'm thinking. Right now, I would say my biggest challenge is the balance of meeting all of their needs, um, and still doing right by the team. Because if
Mm,
so, right, it's really hard to make sure that I am individually um serving each of them and keeping team first. I think that that's a challenge for me as a coach right now, especially like with those building relationships. And the more I get into it, and the more I know about the athlete, and the more I pour into them, and then saying, and also in this very individualistic sport, we are also a team, and the team comes first.
gosh, that's so
Um,
good.
yeah, that's a
Okay, I have to
non.
bring this up.
Okay, go ahead.
I've been talking about it nonstop since okay, so you're also I'm a bigger Brene Brown fan than you are, but
Yes.
just barely.
Okay. Okay. Well, I
I'm
don't know. We
just
can't
kidding.
fight
I don't
over
we don't
it,
have to
but
compete. We don't have to compete. It's fine.
okay,
Um
fine. But I will compete with you about it.
we
Yeah.
can um we could geek out on this forever. But her newest book is wrecking all of our lives. And so you
It is.
are, by the way, I need to we would be remiss if we didn't mention your superintendent and athletic director
Yes.
at Newaygo Public Schools. You are surrounded by two very forward thinking
Yes. I am
men.
so lucky.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh, you have no idea. And so the they're both amazing. I
They
can't
are.
say enough.
Mhm.
You already mentioned your AD Mike was in the TLC credential program with you. Like
Yep.
I do feel like that is built for coaches, but also very built for ADs. I think leadership is leadership, right? I think
Yep.
superintendents could be in this. And yeah, we're talking about coaching. Really, we're talking about leading and life stuff, right?
Right. Absolutely.
And they have chosen to spend resources to bring me in
Yep.
to your athletic department like
Yep.
monthly. We have a meeting. I come in and speak with your athletes regularly.
Mhm.
So I mean that is really forward thinking stuff. And they
Yeah.
yeah. um and Ben, your superintendent, I just love him so much. He is also reading this book, and we were just talking
Yes.
about it when I was there last.
Yep.
Have you gotten to the part where she breaks down empathy between cognitive empathy and affective empathy?
Yes. And you brought it up the other day on your socials.
I did.
And when I got to that part I was like, oh, and there it is. This is me. This is my problem.
That's what I just heard from your challenge. Is like,
Yes.
is it because you slip? I
Yes.
same girl. We
100%.
got t-shirts made. Let's go.
Oh,
Like
let's do it.
like that. Right though.
Yes, absolutely. And as I'm reading through it, and I just thought, okay, yep, I see that this is the issue. It's really hard, right? And I'm going to work on it, and I
Same.
am going to make sure that I am aware of, now that I'm aware of it, right? I think that that's something I can work on, but it is so challenging.
Having the distinction in the language for that
Yes.
distinction, I think, is a major game changer for me.
Yep.
I,
I
I,
would.
I don't like you're saying, I don't think it's an instant fix. I don't think it's gonna be
No.
perfect, but being able to recognize like, oh, this is like I can literally see where I've done this season and
Yep.
failed to serve one of my
Yes.
coaches up to the standard that I want to serve them at
Yep.
because I slipped into affective empathy where I'm feeling their feelings with them and now I'm just sitting in the freaking hole next to them and I can't help that way.
Exactly.
And I've done this
Exactly.
with players. Like it's a thing, right?
It is absolutely a thing. And where it takes you so long to get out of it, right? And I do feel like as a teacher too. So,
Sure. Yeah.
I'm still teaching two classes, but I think back to last year and I'm like, well, I was in basically the whole year with my kids, right? Um, that and they're in my classroom and they're, like I've got the class going on, I'm trying to teach, and then a kid's here and we're having this really hard conversation about what's happening. And I'm like, I'm in the hole with you right now, and I
Mhm.
can't serve the rest of you over here,
Nor can
right?
I serve you very well because we're both stuck in the hole.
No,
Right.
exactly. 'Cause
Yeah.
we're stuck in the hole. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that is big. But I agree with you that having the language is so important, and just being able to recognize that now.
Yep.
Hey, okay, I can see that's what I'm doing.
And as you're talking, I just thought of, I think of my time at Central Michigan. I was a setter coach,
Hmm.
and I, a setter, she was a sophomore when I came in, and I tell stories about her. She actually coaches volleyball in the Grand Rapids area now, and I love her dearly. We share a tattoo, like her and another setter in the team.
Yeah.
She got injured her senior season,
Oh,
and as I'm looking back on it, and it was really hard because it was a
yeah.
back injury,
Oh,
and I don't feel like, and I was the associate. I wasn't making the final decision on anything, and
sure.
but I remember sitting in like her doctor's appointments with her. I remember going to the ER with her after she had to crawl out of and she's still trying to play, and I'm just like, please stop playing. Like, you cannot.
Right.
And I think back to that as we're talking, and I'm like, I was totally in the hole with her in a way that I couldn't. Maybe I could have served her better and got her out of that sooner had I
Mhm.
not done that. But like when you're a position coach, and especially setters, you have one or two, you know what I mean? And
Yep.
so I think back on that and I think, man, gosh, I wish I would have had that language, but I have
Yes.
it now. So
Yep,
yeah.
exactly. I'm gonna work really, really hard on. But
Hmm.
it's such a fine line too, right? I mean, the line with cognitive empathy, it's going to be something that I'm going to constantly have to revise
Yep.
and think about what is it versus what is it not.
Yeah. And I love her distinction. Like, this is the one that creates trust and connection. This
Yep.
is the one that creates burnout. And I'm
Hmm.
like, yeah, that's it. Cause and again, I burned out. I think of that season, I was burned out. I think of even, as we went through this season, I was like, man, what is going on with me? And it was totally, I was feeling everybody's emotions. And that's, I think, a natural instinct for me anyway. And
Yep.
so, yeah, it's so useful. I just am so grateful to Brene Brown for existing.
I agree. I
Like,
just don't understand how one human being can be so
right?
amazing.
I mean, oh my gosh, it's mind blowing. I love that your superintendent, he was like, I had to put the book down. It's just blowing my brain up. Like, I
Right.
know, I feel
We
you.
talked about, we're like, we need a break.
It's
Hold
too
on, I
much.
got to come back to this. But
So
I just listened to chapter 18 yesterday, and I was like, there it is.
you
Another
texted
5 times
me.
that I texted you, right? I was like, I'm gonna have to listen to this one 5 more times and all the notes in my book because I'm like, power through, and oh my
Why?
gosh.
What stuck out to you? Tell everybody the premise of that chapter. She had this is on the podcast too. Her and Adam talk about this one first, actually,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yes, and it's locking in, right? And so she has the analogy of a lock with the boats, and how it has to, like, the levels have to be exact. Like, you're talking even a half an inch wrong of levels, and then all of a sudden it's like it doesn't work. You absolutely, it's not going to work to transition through. And so the first of all, just thinking about like locking in and what that looks like, and when you're in the flow. And so she was just talking about the 4 or 5 different situations where you're locked in, and how it's different depending on the situation. And so I was like, oh yeah, I just could I found myself, I kept saying, oh yeah, yeah, I know exactly what that's like. Or
Yep.
I
Same.
love when I'm on a long run and I'm in the flow like that. Oh, I love that feeling, right? So I'm going through all the, yep, yep, that makes sense. That makes sense. And then she talks about the transition piece coming from maybe a hard day at home, and what that looks like for being able to then be present for your family. And or even if it's not for your family, even just for yourself, being able to show up and not be stuck in whatever it was you were doing that day. And I thought, because like I said, I only listened to it once so far, but I just thought, oh, like that transition piece, yes, that is something I'm missing. And I
Totally.
really need to think about asking for what I need, versus just trying to power through and ignore it and then it being a disaster and I end up, I'm just going to go to bed.
That part was the part that got me. I was like, boy, I wish I'd have had this a
a,
long time ago.
a
And I,
long time ago.
interestingly enough, when I coached at Central, so that's when the kids were, younger. And so I had, there was a family here to come home to and
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
but I also had an hour drive.
Oh, see, and
And
that's
it
not
was
a
it
bad
was
thing,
it
right?
was naturally there. I
Yep.
just didn't realize it. And I
Yes.
needed that. Like, because
Right.
I tend to lean toward affective empathy when I don't know, right? And
Right.
so that was allowing me that lock-in time. And if I didn't have that, and I
Mhm.
even think of like when I would do like a camp or a site camp or a speaking event or whatever, and I was kind of coming back to the family, I would often always like not often always are two different things. I would almost always stop and have dinner by myself. I
Mhm.
didn't realize that that's what I was just naturally doing.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
just, when I'm with a team, whether it be camp or a speaker, like I am in it. And when
Yes.
I'm done, I gotta lock through big time.
Right. Yes.
So
Absolutely.
cool to just to have the metaphor and the language
Yep.
for it. I'm with you. I need to keep going back to that chapter over and over. This book is so hefty. I cannot.
So
Like
much.
my copy, just in case Brene ever watches, my copy is a train wreck.
That's what mine looks like too.
It's so bad.
Oh
Yeah,
my
we
word.
ran into each other at Bob Evans,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Look at this!" Like, and
You're
it's
like,
just getting
hey.
worse. It's like my emotional support. I'm notorious for always having a book with me wherever I go, and
Uh-huh.
this one's I just might carry this around forever. I don't know, but I need more I've been sending copies to people randomly.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
yep,
Mhm.
it's
I understand. Yes. Fosberg, I told him the other day, I'm like, what chapter are you on? And why are we not talking about this today? And so,
right.
yes, I'm
Yeah.
convincing him. He's like, I have a whole pile of books. I said, oh, no, no,
No, no,
no.
no, no, no. This
All
goes to
away.
the top. Like put them
Yeah.
all on the shelf. This is the
Yep.
only one you need next. It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Trust me. Trust
Yep.
me. It is
Everything else goes underneath Brene. Hmm.
it's gotten better. Like her stuff has gotten better. And I didn't think that was possible.
Right? I I
I
would have had no
this
idea that she could come up with something better. Hmm.
it's insane.
I
It's
know.
insane. Okay. What's the biggest change from, if you can think of it, from the
Okay.
beginning to now?
So, so for me, I think that at the beginning when I was coaching, it was about the sport itself.
For
And
you.
for me,
Got it.
yes. For me as a coach, I felt like it was my job to teach them the sport and to have them be the very best at the sport that they could be. And and I was more focused on what success looks like in an outcome perspective. And now it is a process perspective and it is not, yes, I use running, but running is the method or the model to get them to learn about life.
Hmm.
And so it wouldn't matter if it was running or volleyball or soccer. Um, as a coach, I've developed to the point where I can understand that it's about life.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter what the sport is. Like, yep, I'm going to try my hardest to make sure that you know the fundamentals and I give you the X's and O's and the best way to be the very best runner that you can be, but through that, we're going to learn about who we are as people and that what that process looks like. And through the process, then the outcomes will happen.
Hmm. I think it's one of those things, like I think that people say that all the time, but to truly embody it is different.
It
And
is
I
different.
and I feel like that, like I was like I have always have said this, but like you could just feel, I think that's where I got better at embodying that, like
Yeah.
as I got more into my career as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's so interesting. Okay, just a couple more things. And this one is, so I mentioned already, I'm doing a thing with your whole athletic department. So I come in and talk to your coaches, and and then we have like monthly calls that we often reschedule only for the Lions. Because who schedules a call when there's a Lions game? Like, come
Well,
on, man.
that was just silly. And
That
I
was
was
just,
really confused why you had that. But I'm not going to question Tree.
Bad
So
stat. You should. You should always question tree. But that was just bad. That was just bad planning. Mike and I failed.
Monday Night Football, we are watching the Lions. Yes.
Yeah, I think in my mind it was starting at a different time because the previous,
That's
call
true.
we
Okay.
were right before the game. I don't know, but we canceled that right quick.
We did.
So I had landed. I was flying home from somewhere.
My
And I
gosh.
remember I landed in Grand Rapids and my mom had texted me and she was like, because I often will watch the game. Like I DVR it always because I have
Yeah.
YouTube TV and
Yeah.
I'll pick it up later. And so I could skip the commercials, right? And so
Makes
I'm
sense.
always like, I won't check my phone in case somebody ruined, like, I don't like
Yes.
spoilers, whatever. But
Right.
my mom checks in with me 'cause she's also a massive Lions fan. And
Yeah.
she checked in and she was like, are you going to be watching the game live? And she said the time. I think it was 7 o'clock. And I was like, wait, and I
Uh,
called my mom right away and I was like, what time does the game start? And she said 7. I was like, I gotta go. So
I
then
got
I called
Mike.
Mike. I was like, what are you doing? And he was like, yeah, I thought you knew. And I was like, what, have we met? No, I
Yeah.
did not
Do
know.
you
We were
know me?
changing this. So funny.
Yeah.
But what and you obviously talk to the coaches that your fellow coaches and stuff. What do you think? And you are there when people crash our student athlete events. We've had people crash. We've had a student crash our event who did not go to your high school and speak up
And
when I
also
asked for
answer a question.
participation. And you all were like, he's not a student here. I mean, what?
That kid. I'm like, how do I not know? I know every kid in the school. How do
Yeah,
I not know that kid? Oh, it's because he didn't
hilarious.
go to school. So
He that just means we're putting on good events. Like
we
if our
are
students are coming to
place
school
to
events,
be.
I'm not mad at it. But what do you think I'm going to ask you, I'm going to put you on the spot. First, you
Okay.
can take it in either direction. I
Okay.
want one thing that I can rethink because I really do love to be challenged. I want one something I can rethink and then something that you feel just in talking to your fellow coaches that you think, man, this is the valuable piece of this. Like, what do you think is the value of your athletic department contracting me for a full school year
Mhm.
and it's not like I'm just like coming in here and there and we're having conversation. It's not
Right. Okay. Okay, I'm going to come back to the rethinking piece. I think the value are the follow-up conversations. So you're sprinkling the information and we have access online, right? And so you give us something and we talk about it in that night. And then I think the real value comes in the conversations then that we're having in the meantime until you come back and then being able to follow up on that, like, hey, how did you apply that, or even what were you thinking about after we had that conversation, and did any of you talk about that? Because then the water cooler conversations that take place that I've experienced or I've seen other coaches talking about or implementing, you get to come back. And so it's not a one and done, right? Because
Mhm.
we're educators, we've all had PD. You have oh yeah, it's a 6-hour PD and it was really great, right? And then off they go and you never see them again. So I think that is the value for me that I've witnessed is like, and I've had the opportunity to have your 6-month course. So I especially have found value in, and I get more, right? So I get to dig even deeper into some of these things that I've already been introduced to. And now I get to really dig deep in how I'm applying it in my team and talk about how, because we share the same kids. So
Right.
how are you working with this athlete when it's your season, and how does that affect things? So just being able to continue like the rumble conversations, right?
Mhm.
Be able to follow up on that stuff it's been awesome. And I know that the other coaches are talking about like, oh yeah, well, when she's here next time and I want to ask her this question, right?
That's awesome.
So not having a one and done is incredibly valuable.
Gosh,
Mm-hmm.
that's so good. It also what I heard in there is I think that I can do a better job of making sure that we return to the
Sure.
previous conversation
Yeah.
to say, "Hey, what have you done since?" Because I don't know that I'm always good at that.
Yep.
And I don't think if there's not a direct prompt that people are as likely to go there unless I leave space for it.
Yeah,
That's
that
really
makes
helpful.
sense.
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So what's a rethink? And this could include the platform you reminded me. So as part of the thing, every
Yeah,
coach there gets access to the online platform. But like
yeah.
what what of anything, if you could have me rethink or any advice, what would you say?
So I do think that part of the value is being able to get full access. And so, and I know like at the beginning we had talked about like the link didn't get sent out at first, right? And that was on our end.
No, it
Um,
wasn't. After I
okay.
reinvestigated, it was totally on my end.
Okay, well,
I
it's fine.
threw Mike under the bus, but it
We
was
can blame
totally
him.
my
It's
fault.
fine.
But it's easier to blame him. Okay, that's fine.
We
He's
will
not
blame him.
here.
It's fine.
That's great.
Okay, on our end, on Mike's end. Um, just kidding, Mike.
We
It
love
didn't
you.
get he can probably hear me out there, but um we didn't have access to that at the beginning. So I believe that, and for like I said, for me it's different because I went through the 6 month course. So
True.
I think maybe ahead of time, um more making it a little bit more, you are going to interact with this platform first, and I want you by the time I come back on such and such a date, I want you to have gone through this module and this module because I want you to have already started to think about that in your head,
That's
rather
good.
than in the moment. Like last time you asked us, what does your culture look like? How are you developing your culture? Well, I've had a lot of time to think about that because I've been in your course. But I think some of them maybe wouldn't be able to answer because they haven't
Haven't
looked at the
given him the
platform.
language yet.
Yep, they don't have the language.
Oh, that's good. That is so good. And I even think moving forward, we can make that adjustment right now ahead of
Yes,
the next visit or ahead of our next call. I
I
can
think that'd be
say,
great.
that's a great idea.
Good, good.
Thank you. That's
Yeah,
great feedback.
thank you. Yeah.
That's good.
I have to tell you, so while we're talking about this, so you mentioned earlier, and I don't want to leave this before it's in my head and before our call is done, but you talked about how and I don't know if it was when our pre-call or during, I don't remember now, but you talked about working with like companies and how your material doesn't it translates to anything, to leadership in general, right? And so I have to give you credit. Like I used a Tree Beckman quote in my presentation. So for my job, MTSS, I have a group of 15 educators and leaders throughout our district and the RISA, and we come together once a month. And um, I spent the entire last session, the 2 hour session, so one whole month's worth of my very precious content. I built culture, and
Cool.
I used some Brene, I used some Tree, I incorporated that, but the main message was that like we're building the foundation, right? And we have a whole lot of work to do later on. And if we as a group aren't team-based leadership, and if we can't trust each other, then none of that really matters. And so I just wanted to say thank you because
Oh,
like that's not just cross country, right?
right.
I mean, this is my profession. This is what I make my money doing. And it was really, really important to me to be able to say, nope, this is worth all the time that I can give it because this is what really matters for our team.
Oh,
So thank you for that.
thank you for sharing that. That you have no idea. Like that's I I really it kills me that I have to like put all this stuff out on social media and kind of like, point people to links and sell and whatever because I will tell you the thing that drives me truly is impact.
Yeah.
And those things have to be done so that we can bring in revenue so that we can
Right.
have wider impact.
Yeah.
But this is why I do it. What you just shared with me is like that just fills my heart up. So thank you for
Yeah.
a being able like just letting me know that I was able to apply this here because I
Yeah.
do really believe that. And one day we'll expand and try to incorporate and have the language for different
Yeah.
industries. But you got to start somewhere, and it's really hard
Yeah.
to capture this
Mhm.
because I've seen it done in a linear way for so long. I mean, and so have you. Like,
Yep.
and it's so hard because that's not humans. And so
Nope.
figuring out how to do it in a way that is scalable
Hmm.
so you can make a bigger impact. It's really hard, but it gets better with conversations like this. So I just am really grateful for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's fun. All right. Well, thanks. Oh, wait, I have one more question.
Okay.
And it's a Brene Brown special. You've listened to her podcast, you've heard this question before.
Okay.
What is a leadership lesson that keeps presenting itself to you?
There are so many. There are so many. Vulnerability.
Oh, you hate
Um,
it as much as I do.
I hate it. It's
Yes.
so comfortable. I get squirmy. I get like red in the face. And yet at the same time, I know if I don't model vulnerability, then what am I doing? Right.
Yep.
So every opportunity that I have, I'm just reminded of that over and over and over again, and that I need to model it. I need to make sure that that is a part of every every team that I'm on and building, and that it really does pay off,
Yeah.
even as uncomfortable and
In the
hard as
moment.
it is.
In the
Hard.
moment, I'm like,
I
I
know.
want you all to be vulnerable, but I would like to just be over here
Yeah.
facilitating that. And I
Right.
I do get to do that more than I did when I was coaching. It
Yeah.
is I think that I have, but in my real life, I do know like I have to be. I hate it though. I hate it as much. And ironically, so does Brene. Like if you listen to the
Right?
stuff, she
Yes,
hates
she
it.
is. I mean, she talked
Can't.
about it.
Yeah.
She's an introvert. Like
We
she hates
teach
it.
what we need, right? We teach what we need.
I
And that's
know.
why she's so, I mean, same. I, as a young coach, I was a disaster area. And that has served many, many coaches.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh gosh, I
But wait,
love
I
this.
want to turn it around though. I want to
Yeah.
ask you,
What?
what's a leadership lesson that
Oh, you
you're
suck. We're out of time. Look at the
you?
time. We gotta go.
No,
Um,
I want to
no.
learn from you.
Okay. The one that I like the phrase, and I've seen this over and over again. The lesson will keep repeating itself until you learn it, right? I say this to teams all the time. I mean, it's just, I've known that to be true. And the one that has repeated itself to me and will probably continue to repeat itself to me is that um, two things. Like Brene, when I'm scared, I can be scary.
Yep. Hmm.
I just had somebody, and I feel like I've done a lot of work around this, but I was playing hockey, not this past Sunday, but the Sunday prior.
Uh-huh.
And we have one of the other women that I play with, her daughter does their scoreboard.
Oh,
And so
okay.
she's in the box and whatever up at Cadillac. And we get off the ice and she's like, you look so mean when you're playing. And I'm having a blast, but I'm competitive as all like I can't,
Yeah.
like I'm very competitive. So I think that I can, when I'm scared, I can be scary. And also when I feel uncertain, my level of wanting to control is
Mhm.
really, it's really, really, it's a lesson that will repeat itself.
Yeah.
And that's usually coming from fear
Hmm.
or some feeling of lack or insecurity or whatever. If I'm getting really controlling,
No.
there's something there.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yep.
Thanks for that.
Yeah. Thanks for asking.
Yeah.
This
Welcome.
was fun.
It was fun. Thank you
I
for having me.
I enjoy you so much. Your brain,
Right back
you're
at you.
absolutely a part of helping this work continue to get better. So I really do. I'm genuinely thankful for you.
Thanks. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.